Yeah, I get to do tomorrow.
Should I like miss one question on this and I turned it in? How great would that be?
I don't know. Depends on the question. If it's the front page, those are not worth that much. If it's the back, there's depends on like the back has blanks. So like each one of these things is like 2 to 4 points depending on what section you're in.
Okay.
So this is due. This was due today. Um, then we're gonna go to the review. I have some notes here um, for you to use to help with your problem solving. And I'm gonna color code to help you see things more spatial reasoning. So on this section, on the front and the very last page, like the very last section, those answers, well, not the last section. The last section is true or false, or yes or no. But this can vary some, okay? So on one, it says give another name for line T. So line T, this subscript is right here. So they are referring to this line. And so to name the line, I have to use points that are on the line. There's 4 points on line T. I just need 2 to name it. So I could say what is it, AL? And then with the double arrows. So this can vary because there's different combinations. So you can say AL, you can say AD, order does not matter. Okay, you could say MA or MD, but you have to have 2 points off that line to name it. AM, yes. DL, yes. Okay. Says name a point if it exists that is coplanar with the point. So to help you see the relationship, you need to follow the points to help create the plane. So we go from B to C to F. So when I do that, I'm creating like a slice inside because we're dealing with prisms, so our planes are the shape of a prism. So the plane that I could create here would look like that. Do you see that slice that's going in the interior? So I'm just gonna make some lines so you can see it a little bit better. So a point that exists in that plane is this point over here, this corner, which was E. Okay. So to help see the plane, just follow your points in order and create the shape. On 3, what I did was to help you see the intersection. I kind of gave you a little note here. Remember, 2 planes intersect at a line only. So don't give me 1 letter, you should be giving me 2 to name it. What I did was I highlighted the side, the plane. So I just kind of went and said, okay, here's B, here's H, here's G. That would have to be the right side. And then I did ABE. When I followed the letters from A to B to E, that had to be the back side. Where do those 2 sides meet? It is at BH right there. So remember, planes always intersect at the line. So BH or HB. Okay. The order does not matter, just having those points on the line. And then name the intersection, but it says here, if it exists, okay, of plane ABH and plane DFG. So ABH, guys, that's the back plane that I already have highlighted right there. The DFH, if I wasn't sure, like I said, just trace your letters. If I were to trace, here's my D, then here's my F, and then there's my G. Hopefully you can see now I'm looking at the front. Those planes don't touch. They are parallel. So this answer is, there's a little acronym we can use to show does not exist. DNE. Okay. The intersection does not exist because these 2 planes are parallel. Or if you want to just put the symbol parallel planes. When you name, pay attention to your starting point or your endpoints. So on the Number 5 here, because the symbol we have here, that is for a segment. Well, the Z and the Y are the endpoints. So the only thing I can do is just change the order to mean the same segment. Now, if it was arrows, then there's a different combination, but I have the double arrows to refer to a line. Here, they're talking about name all arrays with an endpoint. That's important, V. So this is my starting point. So it has to start at V and needs to extend out forever. Well, it can extend out forever going this way. There's multiple answers here. So, oops, sorry. So I could say VY with the arrow above it to show array. I could say VX with the arrow, VW with the arrow above, or VZ. I ran out of room, sorry. But the letter that is your endpoint, that is your starting point. So it has to start with V. Make sure you understand that to have a pair of opposite rays, I kind of abbreviate that, they must form a line and start with the same letter or endpoint. So there are two sets here. I could start with my point V here, and I can go this direction, which would be VY. The opposite to VY would be VZ, because they would make that line S. So VY and VZ are opposite. Y'all see the other pair of opposite rays? Yeah, VW and VX. They have, make sure when you're doing this tomorrow, you have to pick the pair that starts with the same letter. Okay, and they have to form a line. All right, and then here, they want you to name the intersection of line PR and HR. That was R, is the point of intersection. PR is this line here. I should probably do that green. And then HR is here. Oops. Where did they meet? Right there, they meet at R. Okay. Name the intersection of EFG. So to help you see the plane, EFG, that means I start at E, I go to F, and then I go to G. Hopefully you see that is the top plane. Okay. Then we're going to compare that to the intersection with plane FGS. I go to F, I go to G, I go to S. That is the right side of the plane. So where those two planes touch or intersect, that is at the line or the segment FG. Or you could say GF. Order does not matter, but you have to name the points on that line, on that segment. All right, and if we name the intersection of PQS, that's the bottom plane, and HGS, that's the back plane, that is RS, or SR. So 12 says, are P, Q, and F collinear on the same line? This first question is no. Are they coplanar? Yes. There exists a side where they would be, okay? So part of your questions on your test, there will be some multiple choice and open-ended, but it's basically reading the diagram, applying the vocabulary to reading the diagram. Yeah.
So is PQS collinear?
PQS? Collinear? Because like PQS makes that triangle. So for it to be collinear, I would have need like some extension and a point up like there. Okay. All right, so on the next page, this first section is dealing with length. So just remember, length is always positive, so use the absolute value. You can count if you see the increments. Like here, I can see E, I can see D. Some people want to count. Or I know the coordinate of E is a -6. The coordinate of D is 4. So I do -6 minus 4 and do the absolute value of that. So this first one is 10. The midpoint of BE, that's when you're taking the average of the two. So you take your coordinates of B, which was 6, and E. So -6 plus 6 divided by 2. The coordinate is 0. Some people put, well, that was F. So I would accept that as well. If you want to give me the actual letter that represents that coordinate. And then a segment that is congruent to FE. Well, FE is actually 6 units long. And the other segment that is 6 units long is FB. Okay. When drawing a sketch to justify your answer on this section, I want you to determine the point between. So you have to start with the largest segment. So here the largest segment is AB. So I start with drawing, we're drawing AB, which means C would have to be between. Here I see that AC is 4, so that means C is closer to A, because that would be the smaller part, and this would be the larger part. Are we okay on that? So this one was the answer was C. When I go to the next one, the largest segment is BC, which means B and C are the endpoints. So that means the point between would be A. Does that kind of like make sense? So we're just kind of like drawing, labeling to problem solve. That's one of the skills you have to have in geometry a lot. So that's just drawing and labeling. Then when we get to sections 21 through 25, you're going to use segment addition postulate for that, which means you're going to do a part plus part equals whole. So I'm hoping 21 and 22, we can just figure it out and see it mentally. Okay, if you need to put an X there for that question mark, you can, and do X plus 4 equals 10, which is our part plus part, or I could see that mentally, this answer, the missing segment, KL, is 6 here, and then the missing segment for KJ. If I give you the whole, and I give you a part, you can just do subtraction to find that missing part. We have 9. All right, good. Okay. So I will give you some where the picture is already drawn and labeled for you, and you just have to find the missing part. Then you're going to have some, let me extend this page a little bit, where you have to draw the picture. So that's always our first step. So this is key how to set it up, where it says E is between A and R. So I'm going to start off with my endpoints, AR. And I'm going to put E between them. So somewhere after A and before R. So there's my setup. Then I'm going to label it. So if I look at my given information here, it tells me ER is 3, that's saying 3 times AE. So the segment ER is 3 times the length of AE. And then it says AR is 72. So I know I can put the whole segment as 72. But to label or to give a representation of the relationship between ER and AE, whenever I don't have a value or a measurement, I start off with a variable to represent that. So I know ER is the bigger part because it's 3 times AE, and I don't know what AE is, so I'm going to put an X to represent AE. So I'll put a variable X between A and E. So for ER, I need to show 3 times AE. So what symbol would that be? Yeah, 3x. Okay. So anytime I see the word between, that indicates that you're going to do a part plus a part equals a whole. Some of you already see that, so you can go straight to writing your equation. Maybe some of you see the simplification. So my parts are x plus 3x equals 72. Or if you want to go ahead and simplify that to just 4x equals 72. So we're just solving for x by just dividing by 4 on both sides. Our x comes out to be 18. Yeah, so this is x is 18. Now they want us to find EA. Well, EA was the x, so that's 18. And ER was 3 times the x, which means 3 times 18, which is 54. Are we okay on that? All right. All right, so you're definitely going to see between and midpoint. Did I do that? Did I get to everything on that page? That's 23. 24. Okay, so just do 24. Just check that one. And then 25, I'll check to see if you have it right or wrong. So they want us to find KL, but they've already labeled our segments here for us. So hopefully we see that J to K is a part and KL is also the part. I know that looks horrible. And this is our 13 is the whole segment. So if you want to go straight to your equation, we should have x plus 17 plus the other part, which is x plus 12 equals 13. Or maybe you went ahead and simplify that and just go ahead and add up your x's, because those are like terms, and your constants, your numbers. So really we have 2x plus 29 equals 13. Now, we're going to solve for x. So we have to isolate that term by subtracting 29 from both sides. That's going to leave me with 2x equals, what is it, 16? Oh, negative 16, sorry. And then when you divide everything by 2, we get a negative answer, which you can. X equals a negative 8. Variables can be negatives. They can be real numbers, okay? Links on segments, though, those should be positive. So they want us to find KL. So to find KL, I'm plugging this back in to my expression x plus 8, which is a negative 8, x plus 12, sorry, which is a negative 8 plus 12. And then that comes out to be positive 4. Okay. So I will check your 25 here to make sure we can get to the x. You have to get the x before you can get the segment. All right. All right, and then on 26 and 27, both of these problems are dealing with midpoint and bisector. Those relationships are the same. So you have to remember that a midpoint or bisector creates 2 equal parts. When I mean 2 equal parts, I mean a part is going to equal another part because they're congruent. Or you're going to have 2 times a part equals a whole. Okay. So in our problem here, it tells us that what is the measure of MC? That's what I'm trying to find. If T is the midpoint of MC. So they give us the endpoints M and C. We need to add the point T on it. And we're going to need to, I know this doesn't look to scale, so I'll move this over just a little bit. We're going to need to add tick marks between M and T and C to show that this is the midpoint. You need to see those tick marks to help you recognize the midpoint. So when I label MC is 16x plus 4, I'll put 16x plus 4 there. And then my MT, oh, sorry, I put that in the wrong spot, sorry. That was MC, so that's the whole thing. I'm going to go this way. That way. So that's my 16x plus 4. And then we know MT right here is the, between M and T is the 3x plus 12. So the key to this, guys, for some reason when we first start this unit, this is one of the most missed questions, because too many people want to try to say this equals this. And I can physically, let me move this. Where's my, there we go. I can there we go, boom. I mean, we can physically see those are not equal, right? One's bigger than the other. So you can't do part equals part here. Okay, that's not the correct setup. Do anyone know what the correct setup would be for here? There's a faster way than that. But you could do that. You could find the missing step part here. Oops. Multiply what? Here. Yeah. So if you subtract, you would be subtracting and find that missing part, and then you can do part. Or I can say, I'm going to double this. I'm going to say 2 times that 3x plus 12 equals the whole segment, 16x plus 4. If you subtract, okay, you're going to end up with 13x, what is it, minus 8? Because you're going to have a difference. So now we're just going to distribute the 2 times the 3x and 2 times the 12. So that gives me 6x plus 24 equals 16x plus 4. So now we're going to solve for x. Start with the smallest variable. You should get, when you work it out, you should get 2, I think. Double check it. All right, we're going to pause right there. Okay, so we should end up getting x equals 2, because this becomes 10x. And then when we subtract the 4, we get 20. So yeah, so we get x equals 2. You have to solve your x in order to get to your segment MC. So we should end up getting, because you're going to plug it in for MC, which is the 16x plus 4, which is 16 times 2 plus 4. That comes out to be 36 as your answer. Yeah?
Do planes intersect at a line or a point?
At a line. Only 2 planes at a line. Three planes would be a point. Yeah. All right, so on 27 is very similar to 26. The only difference is now it says line Q bisects PR at ST. So the segment that's being bisected is the segment PR. So we need to start off with drawing that segment. We're now drawing line Q bisecting it. So to bisect means it has to go through a midpoint, and that point is going to be S. So my, basically, oops, sorry. Just need to get a line going, ooh, still crooked. Double arrows going through at S, and I'm going to put the lowercase subscript Q next to the arrow. You can put it at the top, or you can put it at the bottom, okay? Now, to show that it's being bisected, PR, that segment is being bisected, we need sig marks between PS and SR. And then we're going to label our given. It says if SP is 4x minus 2, so between SP, I'm going to put the expression 4x minus 2. And then it says and PR is 6x plus 18. So PR represents this whole segment. That's the 6x plus 18. So again, in this scenario, they want us to find PR, and because PS is only a part, we should be doing 2 times the part to equal the whole. And I'm not sure why that is there. I'm going to delete that. Okay. So I'm going to check 27 on this page. We'll do 25 and 27 odds on here. And then the last page, I do want you to do here. You're going to have to draw and label a picture to help you problem solve. The key information is right here. These points A, B, C are collinear, but this right here, B, is between A, C. So you can do this mentally. Oh, that's horrible. My lines are bad. On 28, but 29, you will need to set up an equation. The picture is going to look the same for both, because AC is the A and C are the endpoints, and B is between them. Okay. And then when you get down to the bottom, you can give me a true or false or yes or no response for reading the diagram. Okay. So I want you to finish, and this is bonus. So this is just extra. You don't have to do that. So let's just get to 36. I'm gonna stamp this in class. If you do not receive your stamp in class, then you have to show it to me tomorrow before you take the test. Does that make sense? 38. Like they're saying that this segment BC is bigger. That's what that symbol is.
Right.
So you have to figure out how to draw it because they want to figure out which point is in the middle. Yeah. So that all this would be true. Okay. It's bigger than AB, which is bigger than AC. So hopefully we see the biggest segment would have to be the one that's bigger than all. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm coming around the stamp. And then I'm also going to share with y'all like a little game that you can play to help you review as well.